My name is JB Bolvedin, and I've built up over the last few years one of the best real estate training companies in the country. I have a huge passion for the business entrepreneurship, and I also have a huge passion for cars. So I decided to get the best real estate entrepreneurs in the country, interview them, and we go through a step-by-step process of what they did to get to where they are today, and we do it driving in some of the best cars on the planet. This is Hot Rides in Real Estate. Welcome to Hot Rides in Real Estate. My name is JB Bolden. I'm super excited to be here in the Big Apple, New York City. Have a really special episode. We're going to sit down with Eleonora Srugo, who actually in a short amount of time has built up a great real estate career. In fact, ranking in the top 20, number 14 to be exact, in volume at Douglas Elliman, dominating the luxury and ultra luxury market. And we're in front of here, Ben's Famous Pizza in Soho. We're meeting her right now.
Hi.
Hey, there she is. What's going on?
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Ready for a little slice of heaven?
Yeah, let's see this thing. What do we got here?
All right, so this is the real deal. This is Famous Ben's. My personal favorite, although, you know, like people are very serious about their pizza in New York. And yeah, like the greatest like little pick-me-up that could exist, right?
Yeah, and if we're gonna do this ride all day, might as well get...
Let's get some fuel in us.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, dig in. So they've been here for like 40 years.
Wow.
They definitely
Is this your go-to spot?
This is my go-to spot, yeah.
Let's see here.
And I'm a folder, but I'll wait. Smells so good.
The sauce is amazing too. Might as well just make it a food episode now.
I know. What's next? Kaiser's Deli, pastrami sandwich.
Love it.
Enjoy. Cheers.
Okay, so where are we going to?
So I have to actually run and do a quick listing pitch, but why don't I meet you at 172 Madison Avenue in Nomad, and I'll show you the penthouse.
Sure, we'll see you there.
Okay, great. See you then.
So Eleanor, where are we right now?
Okay, so we're at 172 Madison Avenue, which is really in the heart of Nomad, which means north of Madison Park, so everything that's above Madison Park. And we're gonna check out the penthouses today.
Let's see this.
Hi. Morning. All right, so what's crazy here is that there are only 72 apartments. They're incredible amenities. It's actually a pretty boutique building, and the top 5 floors are currently vacant and not built out.
Oh, wow.
So there's really nothing like it. It can be purchased as a single home that's 20,000 square feet, or it can be purchased as individual full floor.
Oh, cool. So they have a lot of options as far as how they want it.
There are options. There's a lot of flexibility. Not really, okay.
Sorry, I mean, you can kind of see it. Is what it is.
You can normally see all the bridges. You see the East River, obviously. I think you can make out the East River. We can actually see the Hudson River as well. Don't fall in. And this is cool because like whoever buys it will end up being able to put like whatever signage they want up there too.
Wow, that's cool. So you can add your like...
Yeah, so this is the hot tub.
Do people freak out about that?
I do.
You wouldn't get in this hot tub, right?
I wouldn't. I got in once for a picture, but I wouldn't do it again. But like, it's 3 inches of like glass. I think like we're okay, but who knows? I mean, but yeah, like when it's full, it's quite like an experience, and it's pretty big. It fits a lot of people.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
What?
I just like always imagine like that falling off and me like going flying. I'm like, how long will it take me to come down? And then here you've got this beautiful pool.
This you'd get it.
And this is great, yeah. And I love this. This is on the west side, so you're getting the sunsets here and the lighting. I'm all about Southwest because I spend more time at home in the evening. So like I think about that. I'd rather have sort of this ambiance. And then, do you recognize that building without the top?
This is the Empire State Building? I'm always watching it. I'm always seeing it from the ground.
I can't tell if you're kidding or not. Like I really, I was like, I hope you're kidding. Actually, one of my favorite buildings in New York is that little one. It's the Polish Embassy. Do you see it? It was actually used in Eyes Wide
here?
Shut. Yeah, that beautiful Parisian style with the, yeah. And then there's the Chrysler building, but it's great because you get to see like the evolution. I mean, even like Hudson Yards was never a view that anyone was interested in, but like you can actually, that's now part of the Western view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. How much square footage of balcony do you have here?
I think about 1,800. And like I said, it's very customizable on the inside. I don't actually know if we can walk in this way. Here. All right. Are you okay to go down?
Yeah. Are you? As long as you're good.
I'm good. Please, I do construction sites in heels all the time.
Heels and hard hat,
as long
right?
as heels and hard hat. As long as there are no like bugs, I can literally, I would show anything. That's the one, like a dark bug. I've done like some commercial real estate, and they're like, "Can we go check the boilers?" I'm like, "No, you can go. I'm not going to." So like, you can kind of get a sense for the ceiling height.
Yeah.
21 feet with drops, probably end up being more like 18. So this is one of the few buildings in the city that has 3 pools. 2 of them are private, and then 1 is for the other residences.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Since COVID, what's happened as far as like purchases in this price point, this type of properties?
So interesting. So like there were 3 weeks where there was nothing going on, like not a single beep of activity in the market. Like everyone just needed to like sit back and see what was happening. But the first buyers that returned to the market were the like high price point, the ultra high net worth people who are less risk averse.
Right.
Right. So like for them, they see opportunity, and when they see the potential to have discounts. So I would say pre-COVID, the market was already down about 20%. So I would say like that they were the first sort of players back in the game, right? And they sort of recognized that like maybe the stock market was not like serving them. You know what I love about real estate is like it's an investment that you also get to enjoy. You're not gonna like sit at home and get anxiety about it all the time and like watch the numbers, because you're actually going to be utilizing it, right? So it's not like stressing you out all the time.
Yeah.
So they were the first people coming back in. And then what's happened now is that rates are so low, and there's all this great inventory at a lower price point that like buyers are coming back in full force. Here, let me make it special. And so now the sub $4 million range is like incredibly active. But what's been most interesting is the different things that buyers are looking for post-COVID. So like there used to be such an emphasis in New York on like location. So like location means 2 things. It could mean Nomad, the neighborhood that we're in, and all of the restaurants that are here, and hotels, and the retail destinations. And then there's the immediate location, like the 2 blocks around me, or like the block that I'm on. And that, I think, has gained a lot of importance for people as they sort of see themselves spending more time at home and just needing to like run out to get coffee or walk the dog or whatever. The other thing is like location used to be important because it had to be like close to where you work out or close to work.
Right.
Now it's important because like you want to be close to your family, or like how quickly can I get out of the city? So values, I think, and priorities have sort of shifted. Product used to be very important, so like finishes, amenities. I would say less so. Most buildings like this had their amenities shut down over COVID. People have spent months and months and months at home and have sort of reinforced all the things that they love, but also all the things that they don't love about their own home.
Right.
And are now pursuing like bigger kitchens, more space, private outdoor space.
They're thinking more like home than apartment now.
100%.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Like a place where I can work, a place where I can host dinner parties if the restaurants are closed.
So the people that you saw leave, are they interested in coming back right now, that clientele, or are they kind of waiting?
It's twofold. So there are definitely those that will 100% come back. They have to. I actually think that what's happening now is that all of these big companies have spent so much money on office space to make it like COVID friendly, right? Like they have expanded, they've put separation, they've made it all sanitary, like they've put all these things in that they're like, now we've made this a safe place for you to work. So like it might soon, maybe not quite yet, be time for you to start coming back to the office, because like I don't think that there's anything that can ever replace like old school human interaction,
Yeah, I
right?
agree.
In terms of like the energy and the magic and
Yeah.
the productivity that can occur when people actually come together and brainstorm and share ideas. So I think that like big companies are seeing that too, and that people will eventually need to come back. I think there are a lot of people that got out before June and are like, I may as well not be a New York resident this year.
Right.
Like I may as well be a resident of another state. And then, yeah, like there are certainly people who have moved to the suburbs like maybe sooner than they thought they would and are enjoying, like secondary markets are on fire. I mean, the
Yeah.
Hamptons market was like untouchable this summer.
Yeah.
It was so interesting. Like I had a client who essentially didn't have a budget, could not find a place to live this summer. So it's crazy.
Right?
It's incredible. But that's why I think like something like this is actually very well suited for like the times that we're living in, because like it sort of keeps everything here. It's not a shared pool. It's not with anyone else. It's like totally your own.
Yeah.
So there are 18-foot ceilings in here. I don't even know if lights are working. And 4 bedrooms.
Yeah, this is nice. It does have a homey feel.
Yeah. And actually you see like once the doors are closed, you're not going to hear anything from outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here it's
Feel
pretty
tight.
quiet.
Yeah.
So let's see the,
Sort of create your own view.
yeah.
You want to see the rest?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Since we have,
Hi, my name is Ryan Riddle, Director of Sales here at Cliffco Mortgage Bankers. I hope you're enjoying the show. Hey, listen, in 2021, we want to see you and all our referral partners succeed. So we have created a revolutionary way of transforming the real estate industry. If you want to become a mega agent, contact us now at success@cliffcomortgagebankers.com. Thank you.
awesome. That was awesome. Thanks for showing me.
Sure.
So what's next?
Let me get an Uber.
You know what? I might have something better than that. Let me show you.
See you later.
So
Okay.
this is going to be your Uber for the day.
Wow.
Lamborghini
This
Gallardo.
is so exciting.
There's no better way to
We
go
never
around.
get to even drive in New York, like let alone something like this.
So I'll make you a deal. You be
Yeah.
the tour guide, I'll be the driver.
Well, you have to be the driver because I can't drive it if I try. Okay, we're gonna have to hit up some of the like, you know, hot spots for lunch.
Sounds good.
Like some power lunch things. All right.
So, you know, what you showed us at your last property was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And a lot of people getting into real estate, they look at luxury and ultra luxury real estate as something that's like out of reach. And in a short amount of time, like how does someone actually get their foot in the door and kind of start like understanding what they need to do and how they need to do to actually break into that market?
So I would say that like New York City real estate is already luxury, right? Like by definition, if sort of an entry level price point is $1 million, like we're dealing with the top 1% here.
Right.
So it's interesting because I get this a lot. I have agents who are like, oh, like you should start off with rentals and then do sales. I actually like don't believe that. I believe that if what you want to do is high-end like luxury residential sales, that's what you should do. Like you should not be running around like doing rentals and shares. Like, should you know how to do that? Yes. Should you have that same sort of hustle and drive? Absolutely. But you need to like immerse yourself in the world that you want to be in. For me, it was really interesting. Like in many ways, I grew up in New York City, but I grew up downtown. I didn't grow up on the Upper East Side. I didn't go to sort of any prep school. I didn't have like an inherent network. I had an inherent knowledge of the city, which probably like gave me a leg up. Like there was no learning curve. But like, yeah, you know, starting in real estate is sort of like starting to cook or to bake and not having any ingredients.
Right.
So it's sort of like I'm just standing here in a kitchen. I don't know what to do. You kind of just have to like go fetch.
Right.
Right. Like you have to go to open houses. You have to just like call people that you know and let them know that like you're working in real estate. You have to like sort of pitch on lunches. You have to shadow other agents and ask to sort of like do open houses for them so you can maybe pick up clients. Like, it's a lot of like, where can I maybe find something that'll stick? And then
Right.
and then you get a client. And then like, now you have a book. You can start generating leads. And then like, eventually, if you are diligent enough, you'll have a business that feeds itself.
Yeah.
But it's not like, I always say, like, people are like, oh, hey, Eleonora, you're doing so well. I was thinking of getting into real estate. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing so well 10 years later. Like, I'm not just doing well because, like, I thought of doing it as, like, a side job and, like,
Right.
got lucky with one deal. Sure, there's a lot of luck, but for every luck, there's a lot of no luck, right?
Exactly.
Like, it's like playing the lottery sometimes, right? Like, I could work for years and years and years on a client and, like, be so sure that they're going to buy a $10 million apartment, and then like, and we'll look at 100 things, and then like something will happen and they'll have to relocate to the West Coast,
And that's
and we haven't bought anything. So like, that happens. And then there's like this foreign buyer that I just ran into who's like, I want this. I saw 3 apartments and like, this is what I want, and let's buy it.
yeah.
So like, they both happen.
So
Okay.
let's talk about the 10 years ago then.
Yeah.
When you like, how did you even get into this business?
So like, real estate wasn't, I think like now, like, real estate is sort of like an aspirational job. Like, people see you as an advisor, as a consultant. Like, there's glamour and like a little sexiness to it. It actually is. I mean, you're a salesperson, but you're like a salesperson to the largest purchase most people will ever make in their lives, right? So like, you're dealing unless you're like helping people like buy boats, planes, or art. Like, this is it. But at the time, like, we didn't have those TV shows. Like, HGTV wasn't a big thing. $1 Million Listing wasn't a thing. Even like all of these websites right now that have tried to like elevate the industry and keep things very streamlined, like Zillow and Street Easy and Trulia and Apartments.com, like, none of that existed. It was like the newspaper and Craigslist.
Right.
So it was not like something, you didn't like grow up being like, I want to get into real estate sales, brokerage, the job, like, especially not someone who like went to college for 4 years and worked so hard to like get into college and graduate with honors. Like, what am I gonna like get my license in 2 weeks and then like that's my career?
Yeah.
So it definitely wasn't like what I wanted to do, but like, looking back, it was everything I wanted to do because growing up, I knew I love my city. I always say, like, I was raised by a single mother in the city, but like, she did have a co-parent, and that's New York City. Like,
Wow.
It was like, I feel almost like the birth, birth of this place. So I love it. And so like, having a career that has everything to do with the city was important to me. I also, like, when I was younger and would like visualize myself as an adult,
Right.
would visualize myself like running around, like being mobile.
Yeah.
Or like, so it wasn't like showing apartments at the time because that's not how I recognized it. But I certainly like didn't like dream of myself like sitting at a desk or like performing on stage or anything like that. Like,
Right.
I very much had a vision of myself like running around, like taking meetings or whatever. And so like, after college, so like, I was well suited, I think, for the job anyway. I just like didn't maybe recognize it. I knew that I wanted to be in business. I was always like a math girl, and I was like CFO in my high school, like student union. Like, business was certainly sort of my thing. And I got like a very straight. Okay. Like, I felt. Oh, we're just pulling over still.
Yeah. Just.
Okay. I got a very like traditional post-college job. I worked at Comcast Networks, which at the time owned E-Style Network, Golf Channel, and G4. It was before they were purchased by NBC Universal. And look, it was like a great sort of setup if I wanted a career in media and ad sales. It wasn't a great setup if I wanted to work at E, because then I felt like I really needed to move to LA, and that's a deal breaker. That's like one thing, even at 22, I knew about my life. It had to be in New York. And I just couldn't like work. Like, I was like, I was so good, and I was like helping the team so much, and everyone like loved me. And 8 months in, I was like, great, like, shouldn't I get something for that? And they were like, you're not actually allowed to pitch your promotion until like you've been at the company for 2 years, and then you're allowed to like do your pitch. And I'm like, 2 years, and then I have to like create a PowerPoint and pitch it. Like,
No, that's.
it's not. What about shouldn't it be like a merit-based promotion, like on how well it is doing? So like, yeah, I met a real estate agent at the time. He was actually the #1 agent in the city. He had been that for about 10 years. He had over 1,000 apartments in inventory, like in active listings. And he was like, yeah, get your license and like come to work. He was like, and that was it. And then like I had to like come to work at like 8 a.m. and like I had to do, it was crazy. It was like sort of military academy for real estate. Like
Yeah.
you have to do 4 deals a month. Like you have, no matter what. Like he was like, I don't care if you have to like do $1,000 rental. Like you're closing 4 deals a month.
That's good though.
Yeah, it was great. And like I didn't get paid like on all the team's listings. Like I'd get paid like $500. Like
Wow.
the incentive was to create more business, right? Like not to like just sit back and do a showing. He was like, anyone can do a showing. Like I could pay someone $50. You're lucky you're getting $500 for all these showings. Like,
Right.
although like I would argue that there is an art to showing and showing well.
Yes.
What he was really trying to do was say, at that showing, you're meeting someone, whether it's a broker or buyer directly, that's a connection for you to make, and,
Yeah.
and that'll pay off one day. So this is my hood. I grew up on Broadway, and Soho's so interesting because it like was really sort of an enclave for artists, right? It's mostly old manufacturing lofts, but it became a place for artists in the late 70s, predominantly in the 80s and 90s, and wasn't necessarily considered like a good neighborhood.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever seen like Ghost.
Yeah.
So like they're artists living in a Soho loft, and that's where he gets like mugged and murdered.
Yeah.
And there was actually, it's so interesting, like we moved to Soho in 92. It was only a few years after this like very well publicized kidnapping in the neighborhood. Like it was not a safe place, but my parents were artists. This is where they wanted to be. And it was great. Like I went to some random preschool in a loft here called like New Friends. Very odd. It's sort of just like this woman from like Ecuador who was like, I'm gonna like have a preschool here. And yeah, it was like a great place. There's not much left of like the original bars and restaurants. Like this place, Finale's been here forever. But most of them have sort of come and gone. And then what happened was like when big retailers were looking for something different and more editorial, like Prada came in here. They were probably one of the first. This was different because this is where the artists were. So to come here was sort of being a little unique or off the traditional path of sort of Madison and Fifth. And then it honestly just sort of boomed, right? Like 97 to 2000, Soho was like night and day. And then after 2000, it was like, this is exactly where you want to be. The building that I grew up in was purchased by a family in the late 70s for a little over $200,000, and they sold it for $18 million in 2000.
Wow.
Yeah. So just like the story of
Unheard
real
of
estate.
growth. I don't think anywhere in the country there's that type of growth.
No, they appreciate, well, Manhattan's an island. That's like
Yeah.
the beauty of our inventories, that ultimately it's limited. There's,
Yeah.
I mean, we could go up, but we can't really go up everywhere because there's a lot of landfill, so we have to control that. But yeah, like what we have is what we have. So like West Broadway is one of these weird streets, so like you can't the entire way, but like there's good people watching. So like this is crazy to me that this is really a product both of the taxes in the city, the changing nature, I think, of like retail spending and COVID. But like you used to have to fight to get retail space in Soho.
Yeah.
10 years ago, like retail in Soho was everything. Every retailer like needed to have an outpost here, everywhere, no matter what. And now if you look at it, there are so many empty places. It's not. Well, look.
How long ago when did that start?
I think no one recognized. By the way, here we are at Cipriani. This is probably the only place in the city where you would actually see these types of cars parked outside all day and night. I was here last night. Do we need to close the windows? So.
Just pull over for a second.
Okay.
So what are the biggest personality traits that someone has to have if they're going to do business out here?
I actually think like personality traits for sales are pretty universal, whether you're selling this or anything else. I think like the big glaring one is authenticity. That's like the number one thing. I have a friend who's a very, very successful agent who right away like introduces himself and is like, I have problems, I'm like depressed. But like, and is very successful because people feel like, wow, if someone can be so open and so transparent with me so quickly, then I can trust them. Because that's really all it's about. In many things in life, you're looking for other things like loyalty or whatever, but really with someone who's selling you something, it's all about trust.
Right.
So anyone who can sort of immediately come across as authentic and sincere to their true selves, someone who's honest. A lot of my friends sort of believe in like a positive mindset, and I'm all about that, but I really believe that like hard work is not always fun. Gaining knowledge is not the fun part of the process, but I believe in a knowledge-based approach to anything in sales. I believe like that you should know, you should be the expert. I mean, if I am going to trust you, I want to trust that you are, that you know everything and that you're being transparent with me about what you may or may not know about anything. So I would say like for me, knowledge is probably like the most important thing. Like a real, I know what I'm talking about, sort of like, and I have information that isn't
Left here,
yeah, that isn't so like readily accessible online, because like now we do have a lot of transparency in real estate. Like you can easily find out what something's sold for and even get pretty specific details on the deal, and you now have a record. So like when things weren't online, like you didn't know what the condition was of the other apartment or something, but now like you can very easily compare. So the comps are very readily accessible to anyone. So then I always ask agents like who are starting out, who go up to me like, what is your added value? Like what can you share and how are you guiding this experience? So like what do you know about the building, the apartment, the neighborhood, the buyer, right?
Right.
That like that makes you the expert. Like why should they trust you with this? Yeah, so I would say authenticity for sales. I don't know, do you have a different?
Well, I like that. I mean, I think to do business anywhere, but especially in New York City, you need thick skin.
Yeah,
Like
interesting.
you got to be able to also handle rejection well.
Yeah.
You got to be able to work hard in exchange for nothing in the beginning. Well, there's exchange and experience. There's experience, but like
I consider the beginning of it an apprenticeship.
right, exactly.
It's not an exchange for nothing. So get ready to make a left on Chambers, which is, do you see that bridge over there? It's called the Tribeca Bridge.
Tribeca Bridge up here, right?
Yeah, this thing, so that was actually built for the students so that they wouldn't have to cross the highway. It's after. It's a white. It's the next one.
They want me to pass them. I'm just passing.
We can't make a left here, so we're gonna make the next left.
You're right.
No, I don't think that's natural. But then we can do that again, I guess. Holy shit. So this was probably something that like I definitely didn't appreciate like as a high school student, that I could just like go on lunch break and like sit out here because it's quite magical. But now as an adult, especially like someone who sells real estate, and I know how much people pay for these views,
Right.
I feel very privileged to have been here. Like obviously it was a public school, I'm not privileged in that sense. But it was very lucky. It's a very beautiful and inspiring place to be. So Hudson River Park, essentially, this is the start of it, and it runs all the way down. I don't know how far south you've ever been, but there are so many beautiful moments by the Jewish Museum with the willow trees, and so many beautiful art pieces along the way. It's just a great, like, especially this summer and over the quarantine, it was like a great place for me to go and for all our friends to go. There's some nice like restaurants along the water here. I'm actually going to show you. This is sort of where it all curves. So this is where the park starts. And eventually as you go down, it's called Battery Park, right? But like we're right now still in Tribeca proper. These piers have all also been beautifully redone. Now I see like so many people like working out there. There's miniature golf, there's volleyball outside, which has been so much fun. There are tennis courts, obviously. And it's just also like, again, for rollerblading, it's like the smoothest path ever. So this is a tall rental building that conceals the school. But if we come around, you'll be able to see it this way. And the views here are absolutely stunning, obviously. The sunsets, I was so lucky I got to take rollerblading gym in high school.
They had that?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, but it was a 7 a.m. class. You couldn't take it any later. But yeah, like basically instead of phys ed, you would put your rollerblades on and go up and down for whatever, for the period.
That's pretty cool.
It was very cool. The other not so pleasant memory of this is actually on 9/11. So I was in school here. We're about 2 blocks away from where the Freedom Tower is now. And again, like it was a great sort of, yes, iconic visual for New York, but also a place that we would go after school or hang out. So we were here as it was happening. I was actually already in school because I was there generally early. Obviously, like we were watching like everyone else, thought it was an accident until like the power went out in our school. And then we were like, oh, this is not good.
Yeah.
But what's beautiful is like we were able to, they did such a great job evacuating us. Like we came out here on the north side because the towers are obviously on the other side, and obviously all of this sort of protected us, and then this was the pathway up and out.
What grade were you in on 9/11?
Sophomore. It was the 3rd day of sophomore year.
Wow. And then how did that change the way you live, the way you think, the way everything was after that?
Well,
Because it's different for people that live here versus people that watch this on TV.
yeah, it was very interesting. You don't recognize it then. Now, sort of as an adult, I see myself as a child, and I'm like, no one should have to. Childhood should like phase out. It shouldn't like come crashing down on one day and like in a, you know. So yeah, it was not. It was the. Yeah, I would say probably like day to day, one of the most impactful days I've ever had, and obviously like just for the city as a whole.
Yeah.
I think the city was like left completely shocked from it, but like not debilitated. That's like what's great about New York. Like we're down and
Not out.
never out, right? Like we'll go real almost touch the bottom, but like the comeback is always so much bigger and so much greater than anyone could have imagined. It's such a resilient city, and I've seen it through so much, like Sandy, the blackout.
Even now with COVID.
Even now with COVID, although I will say, like, still feels like the impact of COVID. COVID scared me
Yeah.
because it's really unlike anything like we've ever faced
like a movie, right?
before. Yeah, and it. There were other issues that sort of became compounded. Like, the one thing you could always say about New York is that it's like a safe place to be, and I think that for the first time, many people did not feel safe. Yes, I know that the statistics show the crime is still down, but like we can see it, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I think people have felt that recently. And like I said, all of these sort of convenience, and also like companies realizing that they can be very efficient having their workforce like working at home. So like not necessarily like needing to be in New York.
Right.
So this is like the true test. Like if you don't need to be here, do you still want to be here? And I think like we're still we're showing that we do.
Yeah.
And there are some things that have come out of it that are great. Like all this outdoor dining, I think is some of the greatest. It sort of made like New York more European and even more of like a summer destination, which it never was. Like everyone was like, let's get out of New York for the summer.
Yeah.
But like this summer in New York, if you were sort of affluent and comfortable being outside, then it was a fun summer, and that could happen again if they keep it up. So hopefully, like that's the one thing that the city knows how to do really well is rebuild.
Yeah.
And take something that was like decrepit, like the High Line, and make it like the #1 destination that anyone wants to come visit. Or this, by the way,
Yeah.
which is beautiful, and that's like the Grand Banks, the restaurant there, like the city vineyard. Like, we know how to find the rose in concrete kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, we'll find something like Hudson Yards, which it was like, ugh, or the Javits Center, and like we're just gonna blow it out of the water kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's true. It's kind of interesting because I feel like the career path that you chose allowed you to be very immersed and involved in the city, where other people's kind of like keep them to an office. You get to actually contribute to it, be a part of it, bring people into it, help people expand it. Like, it just allows you to be on the pulse of the actual thing.
It's the coolest thing ever to be like, I sold that building, or like when it was just nothing and it was just land or a parking lot, I shaped that, or that retail space, or I put that deal together.
Yeah.
I love that because like we don't live forever, but like our art does.
Yeah.
And so like real estate is my art. So hopefully like there are some things that I have done that will last forever. So
Awesome. Where to next?
okay, where to next? I think let's hit the West Side Highway. There's a lot of songs that reference cruising up the West Side Highway. A lot of rap songs, fits right in with our car. So let's cruise up the West Side Highway, and I think we should go hit Soho and then like do like Flatiron and all that.
Let's do it.
Okay,
Cool.
perfect. Let's go.
All right. All right. So, you in the mood for some coffee?
Yes.
All right. I don't drink coffee,
You
but I'll get
don't?
something there.
So what do you do to get up?
I don't know. I just get up. I haven't used an alarm clock in like 2
Really?
something years. I wake up at like 4 a.m. every day.
Okay, well, I need like my first, and then we'll take it from there. Let's hit up Soho, and then we'll go north.
Sure. I mean, from our time together, this is one of my conclusions.
Okay, tell me.
You love the city, which makes doing what you do a lot easier.
Certainly does.
You're good in relationships, as far as like building rapport with people,
Yeah.
growing your network.
Yeah.
And I also think that you're very patient to a certain extent.
Do I look patient?
Well, I'll tell you what, like, you might be impatient with like certain scenarios, but it looks like the 10 years you spent in this business and really developing it and deciding to, sell a whole building out in exchange for no commission, but for the experience, that takes a lot of patience.
Yeah.
Maybe waiting too long for your coffee, you get agitated, but that's only because you're trying to invest your time in something else.
Absolutely, right. I
So-
don't like my, I have a sense of urgency about my time.
Yeah.
So that's 100% true. But yeah, like I don't get the impatience that some younger agents have, or anyone like starting in sales. Like,
Yeah.
I think I really do. Like, some people are getting into sales and are like, oh, sales money, and it simply just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You are building a career, even though this is the most untraditional career, so it's non-corporate. That's the only approach that you have to have. You're putting building blocks down. You're starting sort of with baby steps. You have to put in the work. There is no shortcut for that.
Right.
And that's what I find, like some agents like see it on television and they see like agents be like, yeah, boom, now I just did that, and like if I just work hard, fake it till you make it, I'll get it done.
Right.
Well, there's substance behind that, right? Like,
Yeah.
you have to really like know your stuff. It's important to any business,
Right.
and that part can't be skipped. And I find that that's the part that people so often want to skip. Like, you need to actually, like, you can't just like show me the apartment. On the most basic level, that's what we do. We show homes.
Right.
But like, and by the way, that like is my biggest pet peeve when an agent's like, no one's available to show Thursday. I'm like, well, make someone available. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like, you were hired to sell a listing. You could theoretically make $30,000. That would be the bare minimum in New York. Like, can you please show, or find someone who can show, or pay someone to show? Like, on the most basic level, it's your obligation to your seller to show. But beyond that, like, you need to also convince me like why I should buy.
Yeah.
And you need to have the purchase process for people is very different. For some, it's very visual. For some, it's very romantic and aspirational and sort of scenario driven. For someone has to be more analytical.
Right.
And you need to actually have the argument made for all of those.
Yeah.
And then that sort of presents the perfect picture. But I think all of those presentations are made best when you have information to share.
Of course.
Right? Like this is what this sold for above, below, on the side. So 26 is good. There's all these squares in New York, Union, Madison, and then like you can never go across, but 26 is like a good, safe street to always go across.
What's your, this might be a little controversial,
Please.
biggest pet peeves, besides for not being able to show, of co-broking and other agents out there?
I hate when people like drop celebrities, like, oh, so-and-so lives in the building, or this used to be so-and-so's apartment.
Yeah, I hate that too.
I just like can't stand it. But otherwise I'm pretty like accepting. Oh, I hate lying.
Yeah.
If I ask you like what marble is, I don't know. I show like all these homes. You think I remember all the finishes? Like, it's totally fine to be like, I'll get back to you. Like, don't make up some dumb story that you don't know. That's probably, but I'm pretty like, I give a lot of slack to agents because like I recognize that a lot of them are like just starting out. And then also like those who can't, timing is a big one. Like we sort of have an industry standard that's like 20 minutes is like you should be flexible because like, look, you're making appointments back to back. You don't always know like if your buyer will love one of them or want to stay or hang. So like I'm okay with like a 20-minute buffer. But like beyond that, like I've once waited for someone for like 2-3 hours and then like the buyer like didn't even show up, and then like yeah, so like open communication, like, oh, we're delayed, oh, there's a parade, like, oh, this is like why we're not showing up on time. All right.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate everything.
It's been great.
I don't even know if I can get a hug in here, but like we'll just.
I don't know. We'll try.
Want to see more hot rides in real estate? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. We'll catch you on the next one.